Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Click, How to Create Brand Shots That Sell. I'm Kay Wagner, and we have with us Heike Martin and I are presenting this morning. Say hello, Heike.
Hey, hello, everybody. I'm so awesome. I'm looking forward to sharing with you.
And we are excited to have people here literally from around the world and from the United States as well. It's 8:30-ish for those of us in the United States. And some of you are in different time zones. So we welcome all of you to our presentation on Click, How to Create Brand Shots That Sell. What you're going to learn today, in this presentation, you're going to learn what branding can do for you and your business. So this is really the context of what we're going to talk about today. And this is about what is branding and how you can actually frame it up so you can put what Heike is going to talk to you about brand photography and show you about brand photography within the context of branding. And Heike is going to cover how brand photography can work for you. Like, why is it important? And she's going to go into details on that. And then how to go from camera shy to camera confident. It's not easy to just like show up and be beautiful, right? To show up and have presence. And Heike is going to show you how to do that. And then she's going to go into a section about creating brand photos that sell. So let's move on to branding. And this is a brand definition that I developed many years ago when we were first starting in branding. And what I discovered is that there wasn't a good definition for people to truly understand what branding is. So a brand is a product or service with a unique mark, symbol, or logo, a defined set of attributes and characteristics, a unique experience for the consumer and user. So let's look at that in the key points. It's a product or service. It's something that people want to buy. It's not just a concept. It's not just a prototype or idea. It's an actual thing or a service that can be provided. And it has a unique mark, symbol, or logo. So when you think about a brand, many people think about a brand as just what the logo or the symbol is. And it's actually, that's part of it, but that's really just like the tip of the iceberg. We also think about a tagline and a logo being the brand. But really, again, those are just two attributes, two characteristics of it. And a brand has many more attributes and characteristics than just a symbol, a mark, or a logo. So a defined set of attributes and characteristics are critical in brand definition because there are so many things in your brand, what we call touch points, so many interactions between you and your prospects, you and your clients, your customers, that define who you are as a brand. And all of that equals a unique experience for the consumer and the user. And this unique experience, the brand experience, the consumer experience, the customer experience, whether you're in B2B or B2C, business to business or business to consumer, there is an experience that happens when your customers, your clients interact with your brand. We call it 100 touch points. Now, in reality, for some people, it's going to be 1,000 touch points. So we have this unique experience for the customer, for the user, for the client, whatever your term is, for the people that you serve. And so a brand definition begins with this product or service. We have a unique mark, symbol, or logo that identifies it, a defined set of attributes and characteristics with a unique experience for the consumer and user. And the most important thing that you should understand about a brand is that all of these elements actually create a shortcut for your buyer to say, yes, that's the brand that I want to work with. That's the brand that I want to hire, because of all of these things being pulled together, being defined, being clear, consistent. And so it creates a shortcut so that the buyer can say, easily can say, yes, I want to work with that person. I want to work with that brand, with that group. So that is our brand definition. It's very, a brand has a depth to it, much deeper than most people understand. So let's look at the context of where branding fits into the rest of what you do in your business on the marketing side into selling. And so I developed the branding pyramid as a way for people to understand that marketing, true marketing, is a foundation. It's the foundational part of what you build within your organization. It's based on strategy. It's based on 5 P's, which are product, price, placement, and placement is just a P word for distribution, people, and promotion. So within each of the 5 P's, you want to have a strategy for how you're going to go to market with each of these areas of your business. Under marketing, you also look at a SWOT analysis. You're probably familiar with that. That's your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. What is the context? What is the scenario that your business works in? And this is often done with your strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats vis-a-vis your competitors. And that's how you arrive at positioning. You look at what is your core differentiation. How are you truly different than your competitors? And that creates your positioning. Positioning is who you are vis-a-vis your competitors in the marketplace. And then under marketing, new products, new product introductions, line extensions, all of that is part of your marketing strategy as well. We look at marketing as foundational. We look at it as very intellectual, it's rational, it's who you are, and how you sell, what you sell, how you sell. We look at it really as kind of the brain or the skeleton of your business. And again, your core differentiation. How is your brand really different than your competitors in a way that's significant and makes a difference to your buyer? So then we have this foundation of marketing. On top of that, we have branding. Branding, the development of branding, we have these elements that you need to go through to really fully build out your brand. And we look at branding as it's really presentational. It's how you present to the world. It also is the experiential and emotional part of how you go to market, where this is really more brain and skeletal, logical, rational. The branding element is experiential and emotional. It's how you present yourself. It's your heart and soul, really. It's how you face out to the world, and it's what makes you unique looking. And so let me tell you a story so that you can understand how branding really works with marketing. So years ago, there's a company called Aflac. You're all familiar with them. And they had a 3% market share. 3% market awareness. And they were spending about $45 million on advertising. And the CEO, as a good CEO would, he was not satisfied with spending all that money and only having 3% awareness. Now, their business structure is that they would go to companies, and then through the companies, they would sell to the employees' insurance. And so they were running commercials that were these feel good, tug at your heartstrings kind of commercials, and spending $45 million, 3% market awareness. It was not an equation that worked for the CEO. And so he challenged his people and his ad agency marketing people to come up with another solution, and they did. Someone came up with a duck. So they went to market and they tested the concept of the duck. 50% of the people loved it, 50% of the people hated it. So that data point really didn't give them the answers that they were looking for. But they decided, and the CEO gave them the go-ahead, in what I think is a courageous move, to move forward with the duck. And so they ran the first duck commercial on, I think it was New Year's Eve. The week after that commercial ran, they had more hits on their website in 1 week than they had the previous year in the entire year. So that that beginning of the duck as the face to the world for the brand became stronger and stronger and stronger. As a result, when their salespeople would call for appointments, people would quack back at them. It became a whole thing. They would ask for merchandise. They wanted the little ducks. All of this was going on. Now, I tell you that story because branding, what they did was they changed how they packaged the brand and what the brand experience became. They did not change their marketing strategy. They didn't change their product. They didn't change their pricing. They didn't change how they went to market, didn't switch out their people. They had promotions that were the same, but they changed how the branding was presented, how the branding became part of the experience of working with Aflac. And that's how powerful branding can be. Within 3 years, they had gone from 3% market awareness to 97% marketing awareness. Their sales jumped, hugely. And salespeople now had no problem getting in and through the door into appointments and selling because of the strength of the brand on top of strong marketing strategies. So as we move up through the pyramid, we move from marketing to branding and then into communications. Communications is how you take this and push it out into the world through tactics, advertising, PR, digital marketing, interactive marketing, all of the tools that are available to us and the channels that are available to us to get the message to our buyers, to our prospects. And at the end of the day, all of this pushes up to the top of the pyramid, which is selling. Because if you are in business for yourself or you work for someone else, at the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the month, the quarter, the year, the real question is what did we sell? Did we close the deals? And are we now servicing our clients and our prospects? So this gives you the context of where branding fits in, how it works in terms of selling, and how we can move from a solid foundation up into the sales portion of our business. So that is the context of the branding pyramid. And now, Heike, I am going to turn it over to you, and you can take it away.
All right. Well, Kay gave us an absolutely amazing foundation in what branding is all about. And then I will be really speaking towards the visual portion of it. And I see that I'm really, really small here because I want to take you on a journey. Before I'm actually opening up my slides, I want to take you on just a short journey where I want to experience together. We're invited to a dinner party. And I want you to imagine with me, you're walking in, you don't know the host, but you got invited anyways. And so you're walking in and the host sort of waves you in, barely looks at you and just waves you into the room. It's like, and you're like, okay, I don't know you, but you're going in, but you're slightly confused. Now imagine another scenario. Again, you're invited to a dinner party and you're walking in and the host is like, oh my God, comes running up to you and grabbing your hand and giving you a hug and just, oh, it's so amazing that you're here. And then she starts talking about, she just got a new puppy and, oh my God, and the puppy is just so adorable. And we rescued her. And these are all the things we do. And we had to buy this bowl, and we're taking her for walks, and we're doing all these things, and now we're constantly at the dog park. And then she goes on and talks about the new sofa she just purchased, and how comfortable it is. And you're standing there, it's like, what is this dinner party all about? And so you, again, like, you're walking into the room with absolutely nothing. You're really, really confused. Neither one of those scenarios is what, when we're talking about brand photography, is what we're looking for. And I want to have, like, in the chat, guys, just give me just a really quick, what is your experience when you go to someone else's website? Do you feel like you walk into that first person's dinner party where you absolutely get, you know, nothing about what's going on? You just sort of shoot in, and you're in on the website, and you're clueless about what the website is all about? Or the next scenario, which I think happens often enough too, where everybody, the person is gushing about all kinds of stuff, but it's, again, it's like confusing, it's overwhelming, and it's just not very clear messaging. All right, let me just, yep, there we go, come to the next slide here. So what I want to talk about is, to me, personal brand or brand photography helps you set an absolutely clear message as you're entering a website, as you're communicating with your dinner guests or with your audience on a regular basis. As they're coming to you, they got the invitation, or they searched for you, they came to you, and they're trying to find out what is it that you actually do. So to me, headshots are absolutely your first calling card, are your calling card. It's the first impression that you make. And often we start out with like a basic headshot. You're going to studio, and you have like your regular headshot done with a basic clean background, but you want to have an image that absolutely speaks. And when you look at the woman here, she smiles at you. She pulls you in with her eyes. She also has space. There's open space and invitation for more. But then, depending on your business, not everybody needs the studio headshot. Some of you are probably way more, your business requires you to be out and about. You're in nature. You're like this woman here, Robin, my client. She sells essential oil. So she's like, I need to be out in nature. This is what connects me with my audience. So we did exactly that. And that is what brings and speaks to her audience. And then maybe you're an artist, you're an actor, you're a young business person working in an urban environment. So that might be a headshot or an introductory of who you are. So headshots are your calling card. And I know, Jen, you're in the audience. I absolutely love this picture that I did of you. And because it just totally pulls me in. Your eyes are saying hello. Your smile says, hello, come on in. I'm curious. I want to get to know you. I really, really want to see who you are. And so when you look at your own headshot, is it a calling card that you are proud of? Is it a calling card that really invites your audience in to what you do, not what anyone else does? It needs to completely be in sync with what you do. So to me, when I look at personal brand photography, the results will have to reflect your business, communicate your message, and let you stand out. So it needs to be an image that is not cookie cutter, that is not the same as anyone else, and that really, really pulls out who you are. So that's sort of the basis of how I look at when I do personal branding photography with any of my clients. And we just talked about headshots, but I just want to give you a quick rundown on what brand photography, how I work with this. I see there's a lot of functional benefits that actually give you some brand sanity. We're talking brand images with an emotional impact. And I know Kay already talked about the head soul kind of connection. But what I'm noticing also is an incredible transformation that happens not only for your brand, but also for you. And we'll touch on that. Then we're actually going to do an exercise where all of you will get involved. We're going to go from camera shy to camera confident. And then we're going to show a couple more images of brand shots that sell and what makes them, why they sell. All right, and this is the other piece. Again, when I'm working with clients, or if you work with any photographer, I don't care where you are in the world, whatever photographer you're working, but I want you to keep this in mind. Your photographer should, to make it more important to click with you as the person than to click the shutter. Using my camera is the absolute last thing that we will ever do when we work together. I need to fully understand who you are, who your brand is, before I can ever pick up my camera. So let's talk about functional benefits for your brand, SANITY. So we're looking at brand photography. What are some of the benefits of actually having an image bank? That is probably the first thing that we can all think about. You all know you're posting on social media, you have a website, you have different places where you might need images. And I think the biggest struggle is people going online, they're searching for stock photography. You spend hours each day, each week, looking for the perfect image to go with whatever blog post you're putting out, with whatever social media post you're trying to do, with whatever little message or post you do on your Google business page. I mean, we have so many places where we want to be out and sharing our content, but we're stuck not knowing what images to use. So going through like an entire branding photography experience it gives you this image bank to fully just have it there and you know what you're working with. Engaging content is the other piece. You want to have enough images. So not just, oh, let's just go out and do some more headshots out in the garden. No, you want to have enough different content so that you can every day you can talk about a different component of your business. It can be educational, it can be instructional, it can be somewhat salesy, it can be teaching them something about what you do that really engages your audience. And then 1, 4, or 12 per year. What am I talking about here? And maybe this is actually another thing. I can't see the chat box, but I know Kay is keeping an eye on it. Actually think through this yourself. Like, how often do you think you actually need images? And that really, really depends on who you are and what your business is. Some of you might just need photography once a year. You're in the middle of redoing your website, or you have a special course that is coming up. So you're really doing very targeted marketing and you need specific photography just for that. So maybe once a year is perfect. On the other hand, you have you're selling products, or you have a business that actually is more seasonal. So you might be looking for photography that happens spring, summer, fall, and winter, so that you can, again, like for my client who does essential oils, right? I mean, she has a very seasonal product, so she can really hone in on creating, like, what does she do with her essential oils? Like, what kind of things can you actually work with in the spring? What are things that would be helpful over the summer? Recipes, all of this kind of thing. Anyone in the working with food, cooking, there are so many different areas where you probably want to have images a little bit more consistently and more seasonally than for someone else. So booking a subscription where you get images done once a quarter would be perfect for you. And then the next one, you are an influencer. You are online 24/7, more or less. You need content every single day on many different channels. So you need to have totally up-to-date images. For someone like you, coming in once a month to get branding photography done that is very specific to what you do, booking you once a month probably would be an ideal way to go with this. Having images that are on brand, and that is probably what I can't stress enough. And again, we're looking over to the image bank. If you are like looking for stock photography, I come across way too many websites where I see, oh, yep, they've pulled an image from here, they've pulled an image from there, and they visually do not go together. And oftentimes they're not on brand. So look at your images. Are the colors represented? Your logo colors, your brand colors? Do you see any elements that really speak to your brand? Are they visible in your images? And then having a consistent aesthetic, which again kind of goes with being on brand. But again, doesn't matter if you have images on your website, any of your social media postings, any of your print collateral. There are so many different places where we use images. Can you go through everything that you have and say, yep, I'm consistent? And I have to be honest, when I look at my images, I'm not 100% consistent either, but it's something that I'm striving to really do, because I know that people will recognize who I am and they will recognize who you are when you're consistent. And again, the reason that kind of ties in with your image bank and being on brand is you will be needing images online and offline. And it's so much easier when you have enough images to pull from, so you don't even have to think about, oop, I have an event coming up. Let me just go quick to my folder. And yes, I have 2 or 3 images I can use for that. So let me actually take you to some of my clients so I can show you and explain a little bit more in detail visually what we're actually looking for here. This is Lisa. She is the owner of Bluestone Staging and Design, and I got to run with her a couple weeks ago. Actually, she took me along on one of her staging experiences, taking me from beginning of bringing in all the furniture to actually setting up an entire home for one of her clients as they're getting ready to sell the home. And it was just incredible for me to watch and actually take those images of Lisa going through the house, from looking at the bottom here, when you can see like the design concept that she brings in, the materials that she brings in to actually make a home, and really bring the creativity. And now you need to know Lisa has been incredible already on Instagram and Facebook. She is very consistent in posting, but all of her images have been about the perfect finished home. At this point, she had nothing on her feed that talked about who she is in the whole process. And she realized that she was missing this personal connection with her clients, her future clients, and also people to keep referring her as the expert stager. And so this entire branding photography session with her was all about adding her personality, and again, like bringing her blue tones in her, from the way she dressed to everything. So again, like we would have like the consistent aesthetic coming across, her branding visuals coming across, and everything tying in, but bringing in that emotional heart to soul, putting herself out there and showing how much she absolutely loves what she does. And I think we pretty much nailed it with this one here. Then we have Stephanie here. And actually, I think Amy is online as well here. She was the web designer that I got to work with. She worked with Stephanie before they actually approached me for images. And that's actually another thing. When you're working with me as photographer, often enough you work with a copywriter. You might also be working with the web design team in pulling together all the different elements that really make your brand visuals, your marketing come alive. And Stephanie was just at the beginning of starting her own business last year. She is an independent licensed agent and works with Medicare. People. And so she really needed the basics of everything. She needed a basic website. She needed print collateral down here on the bottom. You see this is a handout that she has. She also said, I need to be on LinkedIn, so I need to have images for that. But she wanted to make sure that everything ties together. So her colors were blue and green. So we asked her to dress in these colors. We asked some models that she brought in to really showcase how she actually works with her clients. Said, come in those colors. We want to make sure that everything ties together, so that when you, doesn't matter where you connect with Stephanie, is it on LinkedIn, is it on Facebook, is it in the print collateral that you find, is it on her website, you can right away recognize who she is and what she does, and that you have that trust factor coming right in. But she had her image bank, and she was able to go and Zoom and get her business set up in no time at all. And then I mentioned the word being consistent in your aesthetic. And again, like being on brand. I got to work with Boxer Teresa here. She has her Envision Train studio here in Lancaster, where I live, and does an amazing job of bringing in people and helping them train, and really does quite a bit on not just boxing, but just like health and helping people change their mindset on body. So with the whole Corona thing going on right now, she's also hopping on trying to get her training online. And so she created this post here with 4 images, and 3 of the images are images that I have taken for her. And then I looked at this. I mean, she has it online and it's running and she's getting people to sign up. And I said, there's something, Teresa, do you mind if I use this image and just add a little bit something that to me would just make it more consistent aesthetically? And it doesn't take much, but you want to have all of your images, if possible, work together. And so I made just a teeny tiny change and brought in the fourth image from our session to really now create an image that is aesthetically consistent. So it doesn't take much. So look through your images and see how consistent is your imagery, how well do they speak to each other to really have this full impact when you're in any of your online presence as you're putting it out. All right. Brand images create an emotional impact. And with this one, I want you guys to start thinking with me. We're going to talk about different words and how you actually want to come across to your audience. Functional is one thing. That's just being very practical with the images, everything we talked about earlier. But when it comes to an emotional impact, this is where you need to be incredibly honest with your photographer. Because if your photographer doesn't understand who you are in your brand, if your photographer doesn't understand who your brand is, then we have a hard time creating images with exactly the emotions that you need to have coming across in your images. First one for me, and I think that goes across the board for any brand, is you want to be authentic. Authentic meaning that whatever you're putting out online is also exactly how you work with your clients. If I see an image and then I get to experience working with you, and that experience is totally different from the image that you're putting out, then you are not authentic. And actually the next word totally goes with it. You're also not trustworthy. So work with you. And part of, like when I work with my clients, I have a pretty intense prep time that I go through with them. And they receive a questionnaire from me that talks about personal branding intentions. And I ask a lot of questions, and a lot of it has to do with, I want you to describe who you are. I want to understand your vision in where your brand is going, but I really would like to understand who you are and who your brand is, and with a lot of descriptive words, because that helps me visually then to sort of figure out like what we might have to do when it comes to photography. And so authentic and trustworthy would be one. Being professional. And professional actually for me goes in two ways. Professional is how you might want to look in your images, but professional also comes across on an emotional, in an emotional way for your clients to see, oh my God, you know what, this person actually thinks about her business as something that is important. She's actually putting money behind what she's talking about and is willing to spend money on professional images, because there is, I mean, you can all see the difference in images that were just taken with a cell phone to images that were created with a purpose. And then I'm just going to throw out some words for you to think through. And actually, if you want to add into the chat box just one word that how you would like to be described. Are you relaxed and casual in your business? Would you like to come across as inviting and approachable? Or are you fun and playful? There's so many different ways of how we would like to come across, and that will be different from business to business. So I really want you to think through, like, who am I in this? And maybe just write one word in there how you would like to come across. I'd love to see who you are and what kind of imagery you would love to look for. And again, let me take you into some of my client stories. This one here is Heather. She's a massage therapist, and she was looking into actually when she approached me, it was kind of funny because she said, "Oh, Heike, I'm looking for images. I'm in the middle of creating a trifold, and I know I want good images for this. I really would like to look professional in what I do." She's a young woman, fairly new, starting out in her business, and realized she needed to have that professional experience. But she also came in with a bad experience. So she was afraid of having her pictures taken because she did not like the first experience she had. But as she was filling out my form, like one of her first sentences was, "Oh, I don't need much. I don't need many images." And then she started explaining to me everything she does for her clients. And I'm reading through the list of like all the different things she does, like from the different types of massages she does, to how she does her intake with clients, to the education she does for herself, to the CBD oil that she works with and integrates into her practice. And I'm just laughing, said, Heather, do you realize all the different things that you're doing? It's like you are adding so much content, but you're also adding so much amazing stuff that we need to figure out, like how to create this in your images. And so this is just a very, very small excerpt of the images that we ended up doing for her. On the bottom, you see just an overview of how she actually works with her clients. And what we were trying to pull out was, you see her smiling here. I mean, she has a presence. And when you walk in and you sit down for a consultation and for intake form with her, and you open up, you start sharing. And that's exactly what we were hoping to convey with this image. The next one on the bottom, you see her hands like coming and touching and gentle, just coming in. And you can feel that, you know, you're going to have a massage that will actually ease and make you feel so much lighter and better than before you walked in there. And again, her concentration on when she works with you, feeling, touching, knowing where the knots are, and really, really bringing you the relief that you were looking for. In the top right, we wanted to create images because she will have to do quite a bit of educating. She wants to convey that she knows her stuff and she's constantly learning and expanding her knowledge as a massage therapist. And then we're coming to different types of headshots. And we created actually quite a few headshots for her. But this is one where she was relaxed and sitting there in the middle of her studying. And it's one, again, that just, to me, just draws you in because it really pulls out the essence of who she is. So those are the emotions. Those are the pieces where you pull in your audience when you are incredibly honest about who you are and what you actually offer to your clients. That's the imagery that you're looking for. And then there's one more client here, Nicole. She's a business coach, and she hired me last year to do photography. She was actually promoting a new class that she was offering called Love Your Business School. And as we were talking, like, I knew her a little bit, and I knew her as a sort of soft-spoken, very kind, always listening, just incredibly insightful person. And as we were talking, she said, like, Heike, I want images that show my other side. I want to show you my badass side. And I'm like, okay. I didn't quite know that side of her. But as we were talking, I realized, okay, you do. And so when we ended up doing her session, we pulled in like the regular stuff, like she's on her phone quite a bit, communicating with her clients. And then she does quite a bit of podcasts and also just, again, like, does a lot of Zoom calls. But then she brought this mug in here. I do what I want. And I said, okay, well, that needs to be front and center. We're talking badass here, and this is what you're trying to present. Then we need to have imagery that gives you something to talk about when you're posting. So boom, there you have it. And then on her website, she created this page that says, you're ready to go from, oh shit, to I got this. And this is one of her badass images. And I'm going to show you the full version in a little bit. But she's using this as her banner on her website. And I'm going to explain about this image actually in a little bit. So just stick with me on that one. But again, it was all about like bringing in the different personas, the different emotions, the different things that how she comes across and how she wants to work with her clients. And it was not about a certain persona as a coach, but who she is in all of this. And that how, again, her clients can actually relate with who she is. All right, and then back to Teresa here. And I absolutely love the series of images that we did together. And what I'm loving right now is like actually watching Teresa use the images. She's incredible in how she actually uses images in going online and posting. She has a lot of insightful stuff. So follow her and you will be drawn in and listen to more than just fitness, it is so much more internal stuff that goes on with when we're out there. And this is one of the images I did for her. And let me just quick read what she wrote in her post. It's the mental conversations within yourself that you have to own. How do you handle them? Do you own them and do what you don't want to do when needed? Or do you give yourself excuses or concessions? Today, I don't feel like doing what I know I need to do, but I'm owning my own mental conversations and doing it. And this image totally, to me, conveys exactly what she's writing about. And I just love how she's able to now pull images from her image bank and bring those very, very intentional conversations to her audience. All right, transforming you and your brand. And that is, again, this is the piece I think we often forget. We think like, oh, I need to get images done. I need things for my website. We're very functional when we talk about things, very logical, and that we need to move on with these kinds of pieces. But what I have come to experience from my clients is there's a huge transformation that happens, not only to your brand as you're creating images and you're actually starting using it, but there's a huge transformation that also happens to you. You feel more empowered through this entire process. It's incredible to watch, actually. There's also a huge confidence boost in when you get your own images done. Actually, Heather, the massage therapist I talked about, after we did her images, she said like life just changed for her. She has been booked nonstop. She's gotten like she's working now as a massage therapist for Barnstormers, which is a baseball team here in Lancaster. And that was a huge step up for her. And she said like it all happened out of the confidence that she experienced after getting her images done. You know, you feel more worthy of what you're doing and that you actually have a voice out there. You will be definitely reaching your goals much faster with the right kind of images that actually look at the future of your brand. You will have images that will help get you there much faster than you expected. And it's transforming your fears. I think part of it, we talk about like not being confident, having had a bad experience. Those are all the things I will hold for you. Like as a photographer, you want to have a photographer who actually listens to you and really listens to the fears that you bring into a session, into the whole experience of getting brand photography done. So key again, now no matter who you're working with, make sure your photographer listens to everything and doesn't just say, oh, doesn't matter, or we're going to get rid of your fears. It's not about getting rid of fears. It's about holding your fears and then transforming them. And then it's going way beyond what you expected. Yes, you got your headshot. Yes, you got images that you can use on all of your social media platforms, but it's going beyond that and having way more that you can use than you thought you would have. So what did it mean? I was tickled when Heather actually put this out on her site. And so I'm just going to, again, quick read this to you, and hopefully this will help you understand how transformative a personal brand photography session can be. If you are looking to get your story out there or educate future clients as to what you do, this woman knocks it out of the park. I'm not the most comfortable being the subject in pictures, but Heike calmed my fears by keeping the photo shot light and fun. Her organization timeline made sure we didn't forget anything. And now I have pictures of me and what I do to share with my clients, so I'm not left stuck using stock photos. And that to me just really, really sums it up. Doesn't matter again if you're working with me or not, but this is the experience I want you to have no matter who you're working with, is to have that everything taken care of, someone who really, really helps you think through all the steps and makes it happen for you. This is a photographer. She's actually, this is Shika, another photographer in New York. She's also a personal brand photographer. And she is really, the way she works with her clients is all about boosting confidence and stepping up and stepping out. So when I did photography for her, it was all about, again, like boosting confidence and helping her show up in the best way possible. And it's all about stance and making sure you have the background that speaks to the content that you're trying to convey in your images. So it's really, really putting all of the pieces together. Again, we're talking big city here because this is where she works. It's stepping out and actually being full onto the camera, which right away there, it says total boost, total confident, I'm in my power and I'm doing it. And that's the message that she is putting out there. And that's the message she wants her clients to understand as they sign up to work with her. So again, like emotional impact and transforming transforming also her own audience. All right, guys, I'm going to actually stop the share here because I want you all to work with me. Actually, I'm going to show you one image and then we're going to do a little actually exercise, all of us. From camera shy to camera confidence. Guys, again, I want to hear from all of you. On a scale of 1 to 10, how camera confident are you? 10 meaning like you cannot wait in the morning to get out of bed. And when you see a camera, you get so excited. You put the makeup on, you just know how to pose. That's the first thing you do in the morning. You hop in front of a mirror and you already start doing little things and knowing like you love being in front of the camera. On a 1 on the scale, on the other hand, is like, oh my God, like you see a camera, you start running. That is the last thing you want to have in front of you. And that's the worst thing you want to experience. You just hate being in front of the camera. So think through where you are. And I would love to know on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you find yourself as being camera confident? All right, back to Heather here. And it was kind of interesting. I know Heather gave me permission to use this image. This was at the beginning of a session. We were out in the vineyard here doing some outdoor stuff. And I was fiddling with making sure my light was right. And so I said, just pose for me, Heather. And so she did. And we all have a certain way of doing things, not realizing what it does for the camera though. And so she had her hip straight out to me, and anything that is close to the camera usually appears much, much bigger. And so it is not the most flattering image. It is one that she will never ever use. And it's also not an image that she actually has in her image bank. But I'm grateful she allowed me to use this so I can share this with all of you. And the small change that can happen when you're posing the right way. All I had to do was say, Heather, put your weight on the back of your leg, the one away from me. And this is what happens. Exactly same place. Nothing has changed except that Heather put the weight to the back of her leg, to the leg away from the camera, and boom, her hip goes in. Her face is now on the same plane as the rest of her body, and we have like a perfectly posed image and a beautiful body looking at us. So it doesn't take much. So listen to your photographer. They will help you pose. That's our job. So no worries of stepping in front of the camera. We will make sure that you look amazing and that you can be confident in camera. All right, I'm gonna actually stop the share. And I want you guys looking at the camera and play with me here. We're gonna do like a very, very quick exercise. When you step in front of my camera, let's just pretend we're doing a headshot. I want you just like, okay, shake your shoulders out a little bit. I want you just nice and just sit straight. And I want you leaning into me just a little bit. Get a little closer to the camera. Come on. I know I can see you. I can see you smiling.
Can you see me?
I can see you. I know I can't see the rest, but I can see the rest of you. Awesome. So lean in with me a little bit. And I want you just a little bit sideways. Give me just a little sideways here. And then we're going to do the turtle. You're saying the turtle? What is that? The turtle is actually what you're doing with your neck a little bit. Many of us are concerned about like double chins and everything. So we're doing the whole thing like we're pushing our head back. And boy, guys, I can see more of your neck and your chin than any other time. So we want to make sure we get rid of this and extend our neck. So just lean in a little bit. And then we're going to do the turtle, which means you bring your head closer to the camera.
Like this?
Simple thing. Just nice coming in. All right? Just bring your chin closer to the camera and then bring your chin down just a little bit. And at that point, you realize what's happening? Your your neck is disappearing. And all I see is beautiful jaw lines coming in. And then I will do all my wonderful flashy tricks with lighting and everything. And it's amazing how simple little changes in how you're putting your face out there, how you're just positioning your neck and everything, and you have an image that you will love. So it doesn't take much. The other thing I want you, and we might not be able to see this because I know usually our cameras are a little weirder and we can't completely see, but step in front of a mirror, and I want you to look at your eyes. Almost all of us have one eye that is smaller than the other. And I want you to be aware of which one of your eyes is smaller. And the smaller eye, you guys remember when I talked about like anything that is closer to the camera actually gets bigger? So I want you to be aware that wherever you are, whatever your smaller eye is, make sure it faces the camera. If your eyes are the same size, mine are almost the same. I have like one eyebrow that goes up, but otherwise my eyes are about the same size. But usually I try to make sure that I have one eye a little bit closer to the camera, and that will even them out as your picture is being taken. So they will almost appear the same size. All right?
So
Oh,
do I,
what?
is one of my eyes bigger?
One of you is. I know we looked at this, and I think your right eye is just a teeny bit smaller than the left one.
So,
The one that you're pointing to.
This
Your
one.
right one is just
Okay.
a little bit, not much, but just a little bit smaller. So you want to make sure that that eye is the one that you're facing. And it's your photographer should notice that, but I'm saying this to you as you're taking selfies or as you're having someone else take your pictures. Just know that. Get in position. You know which eye needs to be closer to the camera. Nobody has to tell you. You don't have to tell anybody else. And just make sure you always have that smaller eye closer to the camera, and you will love your face much better because it is much more even. All right, so just a little side note, and the same thing when you get your pictures taken, get into position, do that turtle thing here, get your neck, push it out, bring your chin down, and you will always have a beautiful jawline and no double chin. I promise you that. All right, and I want to just quick do did anybody put in here? Camera shy, come on guys. I want to see on a scale of 1 to 10, put in what you are. And I'm going to look at that later then. All right, I'm going to hop back into the share. We have a couple more images to go through and then we're almost done. All right, so what are images that actually sell? I think it's a combination of images, and we talked about all of those things that are functional, that are emotional. And I think the big piece for me continues to be the one where they transform you. This is again an image that we did of Teresa. And I think it takes you beyond what she does on a daily basis in her fitness studio. But it actually adds such a component as to what she does. And I think it just inspires you to want to be and to work out with Teresa. And again, Teresa said, and I think that's the piece that I liked about how she described it. Heike, it was so much fun working with you yesterday. So much fun. I absolutely love how you do and I think that's the key thing here, is how you do research on things and get to know the person to find what best suits their style as well as their branding. Your work and research that you put into it really blew me away. And that is, again, no matter, again, what photographer you work with, you want to make sure images that sell as images that were well researched, that bring all of the components in, that make your brand be your brand, that everything in that image totally speaks to what you do and how you want to come across. And that image, again, because you love your images, then you also will use them in a completely different way. Guys, remember from earlier, Nicole and her badass image that she was interested in? She has received, oh my God, she's really good on, she was using this image on Instagram, and I did a screenshot of that. She posted the image one day. She had comment upon comment from people talking about how much they loved the image, but not everybody did. And it was very interesting. Someone asked her, actually, someone sent me a message, she says, and asked me how I was going to use this as part of my branding. their opinion was that they thought my photo should be a little kinder, gentler, and approachable. Again, she is a coach, a business coach. And if you remember the story from Kay earlier about Affleck, same thing. 50% liked it, 50% did not. But Nicole decided, just as Affleck did, let's go with that because it is totally speaks to who I am. This badass piece is part of who I am. And she said, I want to go with that. I want to run with that. And what she mentioned, I'm just going to pull out one short snippet here. She said, what you are seeing in this picture is my inner badass. Is she great at networking and small talk? No. What she is good at is marching to her own drum, calling a thing, and refusing to be run by other people's expectations about how her business should look. And I think that to me is the key. That is the key that it should be to all of you as you're looking at your own branding photography or your own branding message. Be your own. Run your own business the way you want it to run. Don't be cookie cutter. Because then you're just fitting in and nobody will notice you. People will notice you when you're willing to step out and when you're willing to put images out that show your inner badass. So, and I have to say, like with Nicole here, she stepped out. It was July. It was humid. It was in the 90s. And she put on that leather jacket and she rocked it. So that sort of finishes out my portion of the talking about branding. And I know I didn't talk about like what locations to use. I didn't talk about how to dress. Those are all things that will be completely different from person to person. So actually to get you started, I have this this guide here, which will really help you actually get into those things. It'll help you think through like online and offline places. It's going to help you think about your vision boarding and how to actually do this. And it's going to take you through some of the, just to help you think through some of the things we talked about earlier. So check your inbox tomorrow. This will be, the link will be there for you to download the guide and actually work. And then Kay mentioned that both of us have some offers for you. If you're in the area, and I certainly love to travel, so if you're looking for brand photography, I will be giving 30% off for any of my branding photography sessions, which is I start with the Kickstarter session, which is just like 90 minutes, and then do half day and full day sessions. You can also do subscription based for like quarterly sessions. But if you book, I know right now we can't be together, we can't do photography, but we can start thinking. I think this is the best time right now to really start looking ahead, because you want to be in a place where you want to be stepping out when we're actually able to be in business again, or actually be able to be out and about again in a few months, few weeks, hopefully, and stand out from the rest. You don't want to be fitting in and looking like everybody else does. So look at it, talk to me, see if you want to work with me, and we book you in and make sure we get a session date on the calendar as soon as we can do this. And again, you'll be getting more info in an email tomorrow. So are you guys willing to step it up, put on your gloves, get out there and actually show the world who you are? Then let's do this and get your image out there in a way that is people will recognize. Okay, Kay, I'm going to hand it over to you. This is again just an overview of what we are able to offer. And then we will be actually hopping into our Q&A here.
right. So thank you, Heike. A wonderful, wonderful presentation and such great tips and insight into how to use brand photography as part of growing your brand. So Heike and I both have more information for you. Heike went through her 30% off of a personal branding photo session, which you can book now by March 31st and have that date anytime, the shoot date anytime in 2020. I have a freebie for you, 5 steps to expand your brand and create massive visibility. There's a link on this slide, and I also put another link in the chat box that you can use to download this 5 steps to expand your brand. So my message before we go to Q&A is branding is a shortcut for you, for your buyer to say, yes, that's the brand I want to work with. And it's all packaged in a way that Heike has shown you, so that it makes it really easy for the buyer to make that decision. And so now let's go to Q&A. And if you have any questions, you can unmute yourself and ask them, or you can put them in the chat and we will see them in the chat and then bring them to the group. So if anybody has any questions about the offers, any questions about the specifics on branding or on brand photography, we would love to entertain those questions at this time. So sometimes a question that people often ask is, in terms of brand photography, and Heike, you might want to answer this. How do I really understand what it is that I need to bring to a photo shoot, or what I need to bring besides obviously myself? Is that something that you have all nailed down before you get into the photo shoot itself?
Yes, absolutely. And that's again, like I briefly touched on, that when you do brand photography, you really need to work with your photographer and sitting down and actually working through your intentions. I mean, I like to sit down. I have, like I said, I have this questionnaire that I send out to my clients that takes them step by step through the different, like understanding their brand vision, who they would like to be. Like in a one-liner, tell me about your brand. And then we go like through different actions. Tell me your stories. Like, what are all the different things you actually do? So I need to have like a full understanding of what actually the brand is. Are you product related? Are you service related? And then talk about the different services that you actually do. Are you working in an office? Are you outdoors? Like, that helps to really help figure out, like, location wise where we might need to do things. I usually spin things out into different stories, so that we have like different stories that we can actually work with. And each story should probably have like their own outfit, a different location. We're going to bring in products, items that will help your audience understand what you're doing. Like in the place, like with Heather being a massage therapist, I mean, it was like an easy place to do it right in her studio on the massage table. So again, it helped her audience to understand exactly where she actually works and what she does. But that looks so different from client to client. So the more I understand, the more your photographer understands about exactly what you do, then we can really streamline and put together a completely personalized package in what needs to happen. And that means also bringing in items. I mean, I really like to work with anything that helps to really help tell the story. So bring in tools of your trade. If it means you sit at a computer, you do Zoom meetings, then we will try and get that feel as well. Are you a cook? Do you work in the food industry? Then we will be doing something in a kitchen. That we want ingredients involved. We want like some of the process involved. Yeah, it is so different from person to person, from brand to brand, on what needs to be included. But that is all part of prepping. Once the photo shoot comes around, everything needs to be in place. We need to have exactly everything lined up and ready to go and figured out beforehand.
Great. And so we are now at the end of our time, and I want to thank everybody for joining us this morning, and for those of you who are viewing the recording, we welcome you as well. So Heike, it's been a pleasure. Fantastic job, fantastic presentation. And I hope that all of you are leaving this webinar with some really concrete ways to move forward, to transform your brand, and to transform your experience in the work that you do and with the people that you serve. So take care, and we will see you again soon.